Tell us a story.
How? Okay. I will tell you a story of Medicine Bear. A story that my grandfather Mishomis told me one summer day when I was a child, just like you.
You mean this really happened?
Yes, this really happened.
Shut the heck!
I remember sitting by the Zebis, a little river, and my grandfather Mishomis was working close by. Some of my cousins were also there. They were playing. Then I guess my grandfather Mishomis noticed me just sitting there, not playing with the rest of the Binojiak, the children. And he walked up to where I was sitting and said, "Grandson," in our language you say, "No shan. Why are you not playing with your cousins?" "I cannot," I replied. "I have a sore foot." Kawin mamda, ngagi jiside. My grandfather Nimishomis leaned over to me and put his hand on my shoulder and said, "I will use medicine and it will heal you." Mshkike nganakasan kanandue wadandash. But I should tell you the story of how this mshkike, this medicine, came to our people, the Anishinaabek. I remember looking up into his warm, smiling face and saying, "Okay, grandfather, ahau, Nimishomis, I will listen to the story." And we walked up the path to the sacred fire. He took what looked like a rock out of his medicine bag and began to work it in his fingers. Then he began to tell me the story of the medicine bear. And he said, "A long time ago, our people, the Anishinaabek, lived in a village right in this area. The leader had chosen that area because there was plenty of food around. The soil was rich to plant food, and there was a river close by with plenty of gigong in it, which means fish. This one day, the women in the village told the men that they were running low on meat in the village. So the Shkinwek, the young man, formed a hunting party. And a leader was chosen by the elders. The hunting party left that day after everything was organized. The elders of that village had told about some good hunting grounds close by. The first day was spent tracking animals. Finally, on the second day, they came across some deer tracks and followed them. The land was scouted for rivers and water holes and land formation. The third day went by and still nothing was brought back to the village. But each day the hunters went out and never gave up. My grandfather Nimishomis was still working the mshkike, the medicine, in his fingers, as he went on to say. Finally they found fresh deer tracks. Everyone was alerted, and as they gathered together they heard a stirring noise in a bush close by. They all thought it was the deer that they were tracking, or maybe even better, a moose. So the leader of the hunting party told the rest of the hunters to surround the bush where they heard the noise. And said, when I raise my hand, that is when you load your bows and pull back. And when I bring my hand down, that's when you fire your arrows. So they began to surround the bush quietly and waited for the signal. Finally, they see the leader's hand go up. They pull back on their bows. And then they see the hand go down, and all the arrows were fired. Just then they heard a terrible noise, like someone crying or in pain. And the leader realized that they had just hit a bear. My grandfather Nimishomis got real quiet for a moment and said, you know, the bear is a very respected animal in our culture. Anishinaabek. All the young hunters felt really bad for what just happened, and they wanted to help the bear somehow. They wanted to make things right for what they had just done. So they started out on their journey to find the wounded bear. The first day they just followed the trail of blood through the forest. The second day it was a little harder because there was not much blood on the trail. On the third day it was even harder. It seemed like the bear had gained strength. And they came across a pine tree that was freshly scraped and wondered what this meant. On the fourth day, they were about to give up because they did not find the trail of blood anymore. They felt sad, and one of the young hunters found a piece of bark that had been scraped by the pine tree the day before, and in the bark was filled with pine pitch, and in that pine pitch was the arrowhead that had pierced the bear 4 days ago. My grandfather Nimishomis said what the bear had done was when he scraped the pine pitch off the tree, he put it on its wound, and the pine pitch took all the infection, including the arrow that had pierced it. The pine pitch was medicine, mshkike, and the bear knew it was. The bear, Makwa, had given, a gift of medicine to the Anishinaabe people that day. You know, the word mshkike means strength from the earth. Mshke, the first part of that word, comes from the word mshkozi, mshke. And the second part means ake, which means the earth, strength from the earth. And that's what medicine is, strength from the earth. My grandfather Nemishomis told me this story that summer day as he applied the mshkiki on my foot. He carefully wrapped my foot, and when he was done, he told me to come back the next day. He said, "Wabang bipskabin, migochim na yahin." Your foot will completely be healed, and all the infection will be gone. So I went back to see him the next day, and sure enough, my foot was completely healed. So if you ever have a splinter in your hand or in your foot or anywhere else, just apply some of that mshkike. Not too much, just what you need. Soften it up, wrap it up, and the next day, or maybe in just a few hours, it will heal. I have kept this tradition of the mshkike ever since Nemishomis told me this story, and have taught it to my family and my people. Children, there is mshkike all around us here today, and the Creator, Gajemnido, gave it to us. Our people, the Anishinaabek, knew this all along. We had our own medicine people that took care of us. We paid attention to all life around us, and that's how we found our medicine. The Anishinaabek paid attention to the Makwa that day many years ago. And if we hadn't, we wouldn't know this medicine, this mshkike. And if you want to collect some of this mshkike from the forest, put some sema, tobacco, on the ground by the tree you pick it from, as an offering of thanks. There are many teachings the Anishinaabe people have, and that was only one of them. We have lived on this land for many thousands of years, and we will continue to live on this land with these teachings, for this is where we belong. Kagwat tanig bing ekomadzing mampiking kinwe Anishinaabeying. Giabedash gogbing kanamadzeme mudoing nandan Anishinaabe kinomadwinan mampiking. Meaning I'm on Pidben Dogzing. My grandfather Nemishomis said, what the bear had done, my grandfather Nemishomis said, what the bear done was when, that was good. You know, the word mshkike means strength from the earth. I hear a plane. Okay. Let him come out first.
Could you lick that piece like you did before?
Oh, I can see it.
Got a car in the shot.
Yeah. Okay, look at the hunters. They're arriving. No smiling, guys. You ain't got no meat.
Put your head.
The leader realized that they just hit a bear.
Just a bunch of tracks afoot. There's one.